Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Cam Jennings coming at you. Sorry, guys. I'm getting a walk in and having a little bit of back pain this morning. So, anyways, it's about 49 degrees out here, about 17 degrees above freezing. Clear blue skies, beautiful day. The heart of winter here in Ohio. But anyways, just getting a walk in this morning. I'm Cam, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about music and what I'd say to my younger self. Man, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? An opportunity to sit in a room and just talk to yourself from like 20 years ago or something. That'd be crazy. Man, I'd probably have more advice of what not to do than what to do. And the advice I did have about what to do, I don't know that he'd listen to me. He's too headstrong. If I go back 20 years, let's see, I was 27 years old and I had a deep love for music. And I was playing in all these different local bands, trying to make that dream happen, being a rock musician. Feels like a lifetime ago. It was a lifetime ago. And the only reason I stopped doing that, because that was my life back then. I mean, I would work, and I would try to live this rock dream. I would try to I'd be making solo records. I'd be getting with bands, playing shows, recording at studios. And when I was 27, I was married, but we didn't have any kids. I was married to a different girl than I am now. And I was just very focused on my dream or whatever. The only reason I stopped focusing on that dream, now keep in mind, I didn't have very much knowledge about business. I really didn't. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't even think I was necessarily a great guitar player or a great singer at all. I just had a love for it and a passion for it. And I felt like I was a good songwriter. And I felt like that could be enough to carry me as far as I needed. And I still believe that. But the reason I stopped was because my first wife left, and then when I met my second future wife, my girlfriend at the time, when she got pregnant, kind of had some decisions to make, being a dad. And it wasn't like a decision I just flipped the switch and made. I literally told my band, hey, listen, here's the deal, guys. My wife, or my girlfriend at the time, she's gonna give birth to our son. And after that, I need about a month off so I can figure out how to be a dad. That's how arrogant I was, man. I thought I'd figure out how to be a dad in like a month. Then we get back to it and we hit the rock and roll. It didn't work out that way. And I think my band, they kind of knew it wouldn't work out that way. So during that month off, while I was trying to learn how to be a dad with my son and my future wife, my band went and found, someone else to sing for them and try to write lyrics for them. Of course, it didn't work out. They ended up falling apart and breaking up. But like, I kind of held that band. I was a very see. The thing is, there when it comes to things like that, there are integral parts of things that you cannot. They're fundamental. They're part of the identity of something. Like I had become part of the identity of that band. So like trying to replace me was like, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying like, you know, it's hard to replace something. It's like, taking a cake and saying, okay, well, let's do this cake without whatever, an integral part of the ingredient. I wouldn't say eggs because you can make a cake without eggs, but some other part of the ingredient that, whatever. That doesn't make sense. You wouldn't be able to do it. Like, let's try to make a cake without flour, you can do it, but it ain't going to be the same, It's going to be something different, So I did too much for the band. I booked the shows. I wrote the lyrics. I sang the songs. I was the front man, and I had a vision for the band. Put us in the studio to make records and stuff, and so it's just like that's too much to replace, like all that. So, anyways, the point is, um, the point is when they and I found this out by like trying to log into our at this time I think it was MySpace. Try to log into our MySpace and it wouldn't let me log in. They had changed all the passwords and stuff while I was taking my month off or whatever. And then I called them and like nobody was picking up the phone. So and all my equipment was over at my drummer's house. So the next day I just went over there and talked to him and figured out this is what the deal was. This is what was going on. I was like, all right. It wasn't like that cordial, to be honest with you. It was a little bit more intense than that, but that doesn't matter. Anyways, the point is, that's how that ended. But I still wasn't done with my dream. I still wasn't done. That ended, but I was like, that's all right. I'm gonna be more successful than those guys. I'm gonna show them. So like I started like working on my solo music again, and I started like I created another solo record. It was called The Ups and Downs of Sunset. You can actually find this stuff on Bandcamp. But just reach out to me if you want to know where that stuff's at. But anyways, so I went back in the studio, recorded some more music, and don't think that like I was profitable in any of these ventures. Don't think I was recording stuff in the studio and putting it out and making a bunch of money, because I wasn't. I was spending my own money to record stuff in the studio, and a few people would hear it here and there. It was all right. I had some people who liked it, but it wasn't like I was profitable. I wasn't profitable. I didn't understand business. I didn't understand like how to get attention. I really didn't. I was a music guy. I was a musician. And so anyways, so what happened? What happened was I told you my son was born. My band kind of broke up with me, really. I lost my band, but I still wasn't done. And the reason I tell you all this backstory, all this exposition here, is because I want you to understand how how I flipped the switch, how I transitioned from being someone who just wanted to play music, that was my dream, to shifting that energy and channeling it into business instead, right? Because I had a fire inside, and that fire was only good for one thing at a time. It wasn't good for like multiple things. My fire inside was for music, right? That's what it was for. So I played this benefit show. I played this benefit show as a solo artist. I still had people who knew me from my last band, and they were still wanting to, bring me in and book me for stuff, just because of that, So it wasn't that hard to get solo gigs or whatever. I was playing this benefit one time, and I think that was the first time when I was playing that benefit that it started to kind of sink in that and the thing is, the year before my band had played that benefit. Like the year before my band had played that same benefit show, and then a year later I was playing it by myself, and it just kind of started to sink in that like, I had a baby now. The first time we played that show, my girlfriend was pregnant. And the second time I played the show by myself, I could see, my girlfriend and my baby down there, you know. It was an outside show, outside benefit show. But it was just kind of like, I started to realize at that time that my dream of being like this rock musician, this rock singer, rock star, whatever you want to call it, this dream of just playing, and I never really chased fame, but I had a dream of playing music for money. Like I had a dream that this is how I was going to make my living, creating music and performing. And that show, that benefit show, I remember is when I really first started thinking, if I keep on chasing this dream, and I wrote it out in my head that day. I wrote it out in my head and I was like, okay, and it's funny because this is like a thing that I have learned to do in business, but I visualized it out in my head that day of like what that looks like. I had a baby, I had a son, and I had a wife, and I had a stepdaughter. She was maybe 3 years old at the time. And I was like, how does this play out in my head? Like, so let's just say I become ultra successful, and now I got to play shows all over the country, all over the world, right? What does that mean? Does that mean I'm going to be away from my family for like months at a time? That's basically what it means. Let's be real. Unless I drag them along with me from show to show to show to show to show. And I don't think my future wife, my wife now, would have really wanted to do that. So that was when I first realized, this actually might not be my dream anymore, because my new dream is to, be able to, be with this family, and help raise this family and be a part of this and make it the best family I can make it. That's kind of like where my focus really was. And like I was still holding on to that rock dream just because I had been chasing it for so long that I didn't really know anything else, So anyways, it was a slow transition, but over the course of a few months, I kind of just transitioned out of it. And, I ended up, I had a few things that helped me transition out of it, to be honest. One of the things, now keep in mind, when this was going on, I was still working at a normal job. I worked at a hospital. I was what they call a telemetry technician. But anyways, so move on forward, and I lost my job. I started getting sick. I didn't know why I was getting sick, but ended up being my gallbladder went bad, and that's what was causing me to get sick. I didn't know it. I didn't know my gallbladder went bad. Nobody could figure it out. I just thought I had food poisoning one time, or I thought maybe I got the flu another time. I didn't know. I didn't know why I was getting sick. All I knew is I had a bunch of sick time built up, and I had been working there for like almost 10 years. And so I felt like it wouldn't be that big of a deal if I started getting sick. I was calling in sick here and there. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but I had the sick time. But it was a big deal. It didn't matter how much sick time I had. They ended up firing me anyway for calling in sick. So I had a decision to make. Either figure something else out, or find a job at another hospital. I was just kind of thinking about everything. I was thinking about how I had a family to support. I had a son. I had a stepdaughter. I had a wife. Everybody depended on me. But I had some money in the bank. I had a 401k. I had some options. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to start learning about business. And at the time, when I went back to school to learn about business, I thought I was going to go back to learn about business to continue to chase my rock dream. I still wanted to learn business because I thought that was the missing ingredient. I need to learn business so that I can propel my rock musician dream, my stardom or whatever. It wasn't really about being a star. It was just about making music and getting paid to do so. I wanted to do that for a living. And I thought the reason why it had failed me up until then is because, I didn't understand business. Because, I might not have been the most talented guitar player or the best singer, or whatever. It might not have been the best anything, but I studied music like religiously. I know music, so um, I could point to several examples where people were not the best singers, not the best guitar players, not even the best songwriters, and still, became very, very successful in music. So I felt like, I believed in myself. So I went back to school for business. While I was in school, I discovered used book selling, and I started selling used books on Amazon. Um, and and slowly, as I went through school to understand business, I started understanding why um, the business of music was difficult in the current climate because of the internet, because of file sharing, because of how things go. And I still hold to that. I could do a whole episode just on the business of music. It's not that people don't make money and they can't make money, because they do. Um, but people used to make money from music based on the music more than based on their influence. Now people make money based on influence with the music. It's a whole different thing. It's like a complete package that has a lot more to do with other stuff than it does the actual music you're making. So it's something different. And what I also realized at that time, as I was going through school for business and I started selling books on Amazon, I started realizing I liked making money. I made more money selling books on Amazon than I ever made as a musician. And it made me feel good to be able to make all that money myself, self-made. And so, very slowly, and eventually I kind of came to this, you know, realization that, hey, look, all this energy that I put into making music, what if I put all that energy into my business? What if I put all that energy into just making money for myself, whether it's selling books or whatever. And that's really kind of how it happened for me way back then. Um, so, you know, when I think about like what I would tell myself from 20 years ago, you know, um, I'll tell you what, I would probably spend a lot more time listening than talking. I'd want to hear what my 27-year-old self had to say to me, because, you know, I don't remember. I really don't. I mean, I don't remember what mindset I was in 27 years ago. Not really. It's been 20 years, you know. I know I was 27 years old and I didn't have a son. I didn't have, you know, anybody to worry about, 20 years ago, I met my current wife 16 years ago. So we're talking about 4 years before I met my current wife. Um, one thing I would probably tell myself from 20 years ago is to go ahead and divorce my last wife, because that ain't gonna last. It's gonna end in in fiery flames. It's better just to go ahead and rip that band-aid off, because I think we go back to 20 when I was 27. I think I was still in that relationship, but it was in the last couple years of it probably, and it wasn't doing too good. So I would say just rip that band-aid off. I would tell my past self to, invest in a few things that I did not invest in back then. I tell my past self to learn about YouTube as soon as it comes out. I tell my past self to learn about the stock market, and when Twitter comes out, invest in Twitter. Because I could have made a buttload of money in Twitter. Uh, I shunned that platform. Um, I shunned it because I didn't understand it. I didn't believe in it. 150 characters. What is this? This is stupid. I didn't understand it. So because I didn't understand it, I shunned it. And I did the same thing a few years later with Bitcoin, when Bitcoin came out. I thought it was a scam. Thought it was stupid. So I shunned it. So I would tell my past self to stop shunning things I don't understand and try to start learning how to understand them. Try to invest in them. Try to give them a chance. See what happens. Because all those things, like there's been several times in my life where I would have made massive amounts of money if I would not have shunned something, just because I didn't understand it. So that's probably what I would tell my past self. The other thing I would say is keep reading. read a lot more than you are, because back then I wasn't reading. I would read like some science fiction, I would read some fantasy, but I wasn't like reading self-improvement books. I wasn't reading business books. I didn't start doing that till I went to college, and I didn't go to college till I was in my 30s. So I would tell myself, start reading more, read an hour a day, exercise your mind. That's what I would tell my past self. I'm really proud of how things have went in my life. It hasn't been like, there's been people that are way more successful than I am. But I'm really happy to be self-made. I'm really happy to have done the things that I've done up until this point. And I'm excited about what the future holds for my business. It's been a crazy journey. I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I tell you what, if I was allowed the opportunity to go back and listen to my past self from 20 years ago, excuse me, I don't think I'd give him any advice without hearing what he had to say first. Because I don't remember the mindset that I was in 20 years ago. I can only guess and speculate. I have glimpses, it's like a photo album, but I don't really truly remember what I was thinking. I thought I was going to be, a musician, and I believed that, and I believed it. And I still believe if I would have continued on that path, I would have achieved a level of success with music. I believe it. I still wholeheartedly believe it. I very consciously made a decision to start channeling my energy in a different direction. It's interesting. I always think it'd be nice to go back and talk to my past self like that. But yeah, I would probably do more listening, and I would probably give wisdom where it mattered. Because of course, hindsight's 2020. I know things that my 27-year-old self doesn't know. But I would definitely be just as interested in what they have to say versus what I have to say. So that's what I'd say. Anyways, I don't know if this has been helpful for you or not. This has been kind of a weird episode. Yeah. Anyways, if you enjoyed this one, you just have to reach out to me, camjenningspro@gmail.com. Let me know if this conversation resonated with you at all. You should definitely join my email list because I put out a free newsletter 3 to 6 times a week. I like to think I put my best free content out by email, not by talking video with my phone. So anyways, hope you're doing amazing out there, and I'll see you guys for another one tomorrow. All right, peace.